Good morning. It's a travel day. We're leaving Chesapeake Bay and headed up towards the Washington, D.C. area. And we thought that some of you might be interested to know how we break camp for a travel day. So we get up in the morning and start packing. One of the things that I think is really important is our tire pressure. And as most of you probably know, I run a tire pressure monitor system. And so I come out in the truck while Kelly's starting to do some of the interior stuff in the coach, and I turn on my tire pressure monitor system to see what the tire pressures are. It goes through its cycle, and I have to let it warm up and recognize the temp or the pressures. But I let it go through its cycle, and I make sure that all of my tires are within a pound or two of what I need. So I just let it go through its cycle, and all my pressures, I've already checked it this morning, and all of my pressures are within a pound or two of what I want to run. And I have to do that early in the morning. You want to check your tire pressures before the sun hits the tires, because as soon as the sun hits the tires, your pressure is going to increase. And the tire manufacturers tell you to set your tire pressure cold, and so I do it before the sun hits the tires in the morning. So all of my tire pressures are within a pound or two of what I normally run at. The next thing I do is I turn on my GPS, get it ready to go, and then I mount my dash cam. We've already mounted the car. We mount the car usually the day before and make sure that it's strapped down. I have chocks for those of you that are interested. I have a chock system with a cinch strap, and it works really, really well. And the car's not going to go anywhere. So we load the car usually the day before and cinch it down so we're ready for the next morning, and we don't have to spend time in the morning loading up the car. So before we go through the checklist, there's a number of things that we do interior wise. We make sure that the recliners are back because we pull them out when we get to a location. We check the cupboard doors, make sure that all the cupboard doors are in place and closed. And then we have a checklist that we go through just before we leave. So we'll go through that here in a second. We also dump and flush the tanks. I don't flush the gray every time. I flush the black every time. But we've got a flush for both the gray and the black in this coach, in this wet bay. And so I will flush the black every time that we move. I always drain the black tanks first and then and flush it out. And I let it flush for 10 minutes. And then I drain the gray behind it. And both tanks are empty when we're ready to go. I never use my drinking water hose to flush the tanks. I have a separate black tank flush hose. I actually bought one of the lightweight hoses that I carry just for flushing the tanks. And so I always turn off the main water and then hook up the black tank flush hose and flush the black tank out. While the black tank's flushing, I remove the drinking water hose and coil it up. And what we found is that if you use some of these little bungees for your hose, they work really well. I picked up this. This is actually a handle for an extension cord that I picked up at Harbor Freight. You can pick them up at Harbor Freight or Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. They're really inexpensive, but they allow me to store my hoses and get them out of the way. And I've put some hooks on the wall of the storage unit in here, and sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand, but it just hangs right there on the storage wall and keeps it neat, organized, and out of the way. Okay, so the black tank's been flushing for about 10 minutes, and I have a clear elbow that I put on the sewer connection, and basically I wait until I've got clear flow out of the black tank for 10 minutes, and then I shut the water off and drain the gray. That way, once I drain the gray behind the black tank, it'll flush out any contaminants. By the way, something that some of you may be wondering, if you haven't researched already, as far as toilet paper is concerned, we don't use an RV toilet paper. We use the Costco brand toilet paper, and it seems to break down just fine. One of the tricks that we learned a long time ago was that if you take a few squares of toilet paper and put them in a paper cup with water and then agitate it, shake it around, if the toilet paper breaks up, then it's good for use in septic systems and RVs. And we haven't had an issue with any of our Costco toilet paper. So that's what we use. So as I mentioned earlier, we don't always flush the gray tank every time we break camp. We usually do it every other time, maybe every third time. And a lot of RVs don't have a gray tank flush. This one does, and it's really, really nice. If you think about it, if you're doing dishes, you're going to get grease and contaminants and broken down food in your gray tank. And so it's really nice to be able to flush out that gray tank if you have a gray tank flush. So if you're shopping for an RV, that's an added bonus. While the gray tank is flushing, I go ahead and take my toilet chemical inside the coach, and I pour it down into the toilet. I let it sit a little bit in the toilet bowl, and then I flush it down. There's a lubricant in your deodorizer, and if you let it sit there for a little bit, it will lubricate the seal in your toilet bowl. And then I just go ahead and drop it into the tank. Always have a little bit of water left in your black tank to catch any solids and break it down before you hit the road. Once I get done flushing the tanks, Kelly's usually inside buttoning up everything. And we have a checklist that we go through, but we kind of cross-check each other on everything. So she says the bedroom slides are ready to come in. I always go up and I always double-check, make sure there's nothing in the way. It's not that we don't trust each other, it's that two sets of eyes are better than one. So we're ready to pull in the bedroom slides. Okay, now that the bedroom slides are in, we go through our checklist. The refrigerator is locked.
Yes.
Dishwasher's locked.
Yes.
Closet doors are locked.
Yes.
Bedroom door's closed. Mm-hmm. Shower door's locked.
Yes.
Bathroom door is locked.
Yes.
Microwave plate is taken care of. Windows are closed, the cupboards are checked, TV antenna's off, Wi-Fi is off. And water pump is off, hot water heater is off. And the dining table is in and locked. Berkey stands removed. Mm-hmm. Refrigerator, need to put it on propane. The inverter is off. Okay, and we're ready to pull in the main slides and disconnect and get ready to go.
We put the cushions in here because we've had drawers open while we're traveling, so this gives us a little extra security so we don't scratch things or dent the the dishwasher.
Okay, you ready for the main?
Yes, sir.
One of the reasons we bought this fifth wheel is that we could get to the refrigerator and the snack cupboards while the slides are still in. So Kelly can open the fridge and get to the snack cupboards, and we can also get to the bathroom and the bedroom with the slides closed. So if that's important to you, you need to look at that while you're looking for an RV. All right, so we are done. Checklist is complete. Lights are off. We're ready to pull up the jacks.
And we usually dump our garbage when we leave, and we always, when we pull out, I stay behind and make sure that we got everything, because we want to leave it as clean as we can, cleaner than it was when we got here. That's important.
So I pull up my rear jacks while I'm still connected to power. The battery's got plenty of juice to do it, but I just figure, what the heck, before I unplug the power, I always pull up my rear jacks, get the jack pads stored, and then we'll raise the front end. Okay, jacks are up. Now it's time to pull the jack pads. And for those of you that are wondering, these jack pads, actually these were, I think, a Father's Day or a birthday gift, Christmas gift. They work really well. They're a composite material. They've got ropes for handles, and when we're in soft ground like this, they really make a big difference. And if you're on a hot day on asphalt, the jack pads or the jacks don't indent into the asphalt. So these are kind of expensive, but they're well worth the money. We use walkie-talkies when we're backing up. I've got a rear backup camera, but it's kind of nice to have Kelly as a spotter to let me know where I'm at. Visually inspect the jaws on the hitch, because sometimes they're not closed completely, so I always visually inspect to make sure that the jaws have touched each other, and then I close and lock the handle and then give it a couple of good jerks just to make sure it's in place. Always flip off your breaker before you connect or disconnect from the power pedestal. I can't tell you how many times I've come up to a park and gone to plug in and the breaker is in the on position. So turn your breaker off, then disconnect. Okay, next thing we do is we just do a visual inspection of the slides and the windows, make sure everything's in, make sure nothing's hanging loose. I connect my lights, turn on my four-ways, and then do a walk around, make sure that the lights in the back, the flashers are working. Okay, everything's checked, and we didn't leave anything on the picnic table. We're ready to go. So Kelly's going to watch me pull out, make sure I don't get a tail swing that comes into a tree or a log or a rock or something. We're on the road. Make sure you have a system and you cover it in its entirety. Don't let anything go to chance, because as soon as you get out of your rhythm or do something a little different or have a conversation with the neighbor across the way that decides to come over and look at your rig, you can forget things. So it's really important to have a system. We like a written checklist. All my aviation days, everybody uses a checklist. So that's what I use. Okay, so that's how we break down on a travel day and get ready to hit the road. We're on the road again. We're headed north, and hope that gives you some information on how we break down. If you've got some ideas that I've missed or some things that you found to be of use, leave them in the comments below. I'm always looking for new ideas and better ways to do things. By the way, if you're watching this and you are thinking about going full-time and buying an RV, our friends over at RV Diem are documenting their journey on how they are decluttering, downsizing, selling their sticks and bricks, and shopping for an RV. Go take a look at their channel. They do a really good job of documenting if you're looking for an RV or wondering what happens when you downsize to go full-time. Go take a look at their channel. I'll leave a link below, and I think you'll enjoy their comments and the way that they're documenting their journey. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.